Welcome to the Balanced Consciousness Podcast, an assortment of enlightening conversations that inspire balance in your wellness of the mind, body, heart, and spirit. I'm your host, Jessica Taylor, and my intention is that with each episode, we open a channel of communication within our energetic systems, increasing our critical thinking, awareness, authenticity, sovereignty, and empowerment. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's dig in. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Balanced Consciousness Podcast. This is episode 5, and it's just me this time, guys. I hope you all are doing so well. I wanted to use this episode to talk a little bit about fear and to also give an experience, a little bit of a meditative experience for you all. So this is going to be a short episode, but I felt called to come on and just speak some of my current feelings, some patterns I've been seeing around me with the collective and with my clients and with those that I love and with myself. And fear is what's coming up. And I know that a lot of us have grappled with fear our entire life, but these past 3 years or so have been especially fearful for many. And what I want to challenge you guys to think or to ask yourself the question is, do I realize that I have a choice? Do I realize that I have a choice when it comes to engaging in fear? Now, to be clear, when I say this, it does not mean to ignore feelings of fear or to tell yourself that to feel fear means that you're weak or that the world is just really crazy, Jess, and I'm just scared and I need to feel fear right now. Absolutely, yes, I honor all of those things. What I'm speaking to is when we find that we are allowing fear to be in the driver's seat for the majority of the time. Now, we need fear. We need fear because if we didn't have it, we would walk into oncoming traffic. Our ancestors would get eaten by a mountain lion. We need it to survive. But do we need fear to thrive? And my opinion is absolutely not. The Buddhist teachings of becoming friends with your fear, I think, are incredibly powerful. And to be able to have a conversation with our fear, a dialogue, rather than there it is again, let me either fight it or run and hide. But to have a dialogue, to have a back and forth, to start to gain an understanding of where's this fear coming from? Where do I feel it in my body? If the fear fully played itself out, what would actually happen? How does that make me feel? How much of this is real? How much of it is something that I am creating out of deep, deep, deep emotional feeling? So these are just some questions that I bring up. And I've studied on this for quite some time. And I don't think it ever gets old because to me, fear is always going to be the opposition of faith. But let's talk about faith for a second. Because in order to have faith, we need something else that is incredibly, incredibly crucial, and that is trust. So, right now, do you have trust within yourself or within a higher power or God or spirit or the universe or whatever you want to uh, put into that label, into that word? Do you have trust in that in order to have faith that in the end, I will be okay? And please again know that I am not trying to minimize in any way what anyone is going through right now. Because the reason why I was called to do this solo episode is because I feel a lot of that fear springing up again. And it's only natural. It's only natural to feel that fear. And it's not something that we can just suck up. In fact, we shouldn't, because that's a dangerous game. But it's really a powerful thing to be able to discern what is this fear coming from? Where is the root? Can I make my fear something real and tangible that I can see as something separate of myself? Something that comes into influence now and then, but it's not me. It's not actually me. Now, a lot of times I tell my clients, fear, and I can speak to this personally myself. Fear is something that can really come from a deep, deep, deep caring or a deep passion. Like the more we care about something, the more fearful we can be of losing it or of failing in it. You know, if you're someone who identifies as a perfectionist, which I'm a part of that club, we can have a fear of not doing something perfectly, quote unquote, which is a standard that we have created ourselves. Most likely, we're doing it pretty frickin' phenomenally, according to the outside world. But to us, oh no, oh no. And so who knows where that comes from, right? Can come from many different places. For most of us, it comes from childhood, somewhere, somehow. Just an example. So today I'd like to give a meditative experience to you guys. And it's going to be regarding fear. It's going to be not something that is digging in incredibly deep. We're not going into a deep releasing, purging state today. This is something for us to help to regulate when we feel the fear taking hold of that steering wheel. Okay. We want to make sure that we are not spending the majority of our time in our fight, flight, or freeze. The majority of our time in our nervous system needs to be within our rest and digest. And that fight, flight, freeze needs to happen only in the emergency cases, the survival cases, when we really, really need it. But unfortunately, we have been taught to be in that state for more often than what serves us. So if you'd like to join me, find a comfortable position, either seated or lying down. Do what you need to do. Pause the podcast for a second if you need to find your own space. And let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. and out slowly through the mouth, slow stream. And let's try again. In through the nose, holding at the top. Feel your body fill with love, fill with light, and slow stream out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose. Hold at the top, bring in love, bring in peace. Feel your body expand and slow exhale. Gently close your eyes if you haven't already. And become present with yourself in this moment. Acknowledging that you have immense power in these moments, just being. Not dwelling in past, not projecting into future, but just being here right now. Staying here with my voice, staying here with your body, feeling your sensations, having your experience. And let's take one more deep cleansing inhale. Holding at the top, bringing in anything you need, love, patience, kindness. Slow stream exhale, as slow as you can make it. Allowing your breath to just resume its natural state, noticing where it wants to go in the body. And then we'll always be a curious child as we notice being in this present moment. Just taking notice of sensations, observing emotions that may come up, and continuing to come back to our gratitude and our faith for the power that we hold right now within ourselves. Now, let's take a moment and think about fear. And let's think of how fear specifically affects us. How does it affect you? When you feel fear creep in, how does it affect your body? Where do you feel it? Is it through physical sensation or is it mostly through thought? Are there particular behaviors that you exhibit when you feel fear? What does time feel like to you when you feel fear? Does it slow down? Does it speed up? Now we're going to start to take all of those things you've recognized about yourself, which is not the fear itself. It is how the fear manifests within you. And we're going to envision taking all of those things, our behaviors, the sensations, the thoughts, and we're just going to envision them being pulled gently out of our body. Just little pulls here and there, leaving from the brain, from the heart, from the cells, maybe from the hips, from the back, from the chest, from the shoulders, from the eyes, from the mouth, from the ears. Just all of these ways that fear manifests within ourselves. And we can just envision them all coming into a little ball in front of us. And all of these manifestations are beginning to create this outer part of this ball, encapsulating and holding within our fear itself. So let's take a moment and be willing to give the root of our fear, and we don't have to know what that is, but just to intentionally place our fear from within us into this ball. The fear in itself might be a mystery, but it is boundaried. It is enclosed by things that we can really clearly see, feel, and experience. Now, this fear ball, this fear orb is now separate from you. It's in front of you. I want you to take a moment to begin to envision more detail. And as we do so, we're going to create an image of our fear. So as you're sensing and seeing this ball in front of you, let's begin to see if it shifts in shape. Does it want to stay a ball or does it want to become something else? And as we possibly see it shift in shape or stay the same, let's start to give it a texture. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Does it have prickles? Is it sticky? Is it globular? What would it feel like to touch it with your hands? Okay, now let's start to give it a color. What color is your fear? And when you see a color, is there Any light within it? Is it muted? Is it like a matte color? Okay. Is there a sound that emanates from your fear? It could be silent. It could be whispering. It could be hissing. It could be growling. It could be humming. It could be singing. It could be laughing. Take a moment and listen. Okay, so now we can clearly see this fear in front of us. We can see its shape, its texture. We can see its color, possibly a sound. We can feel how it would feel. Let's take a moment and sit with this, knowing that it's personal only to us. And it may not tell you yet, but let's sit for a second and ask our fear, do you have a name? Okay, if a name has been presented to you, then wonderful, you can now call your fear that name. And if not, for now, you can just say fear in your mind's eye. That is fear. Hello, fear. Now, your fear is outside of you right now. It is separate. It is not a part of you. And I want you to imagine now that you're sitting on the bank of a very peaceful brook. The water is gently flowing in front of you, moving by peacefully. And you can feel earth, perhaps grass or rock beneath you. And take a moment to feel sensations, perhaps a breeze, perhaps some warmth from the sun coming from the sky. Perhaps you can hear the water more clearly now. Maybe we hear birds chirping in the distance. And just sit for a moment, hearing this water, feeling grounded into the earth, feeling this present peace. Now, as we're sitting in this beautiful, peaceful place, just an absolute escape from any sort of stress. What a magical, magical environment we're sitting in. We're now going to lovingly invite our fear to come and sit beside us. See the fear moving towards you and beside you and coming down, sitting and just being in the same space as you enjoy this beautiful, peaceful brook. And your fear is also just being. It is here when you need it. But you are sitting in peaceful power and in calm strength, sitting in this present moment in such a happy place with your fear beside you. And let's take a moment to just experience this time with your fear, and perhaps taking this opportunity to say something that you would really like to say to your fear right now. Beautiful. Now, we can always see this fear that we have been able to create in our mind's eye. We can see it more clearly now. It's tangible now. And we can always imagine this fear, whatever name it may have, sitting just beside us. It's there when we need it, but we can always come back to this peaceful place where we can dialogue, where we can tell our fear, no thanks, I've got the steering wheel. Or we can say, fear, come and teach me something. What do I need to know? But we know fully in the end that we have the power to do this, the power to communicate. And as we can sense that fear just with us, outside of us, not a part of us, we can start to now come back into our body, into the room that we're currently in. And let's feel from the top of our head, moving down our face, down our jaw. Let's move down the back of the neck, down the throat, feeling sensation back into the tops of our shoulders, down the upper back, down the chest. We can start to feel sensation filling up our rib cage again, moving down our sides, down our low back, down our belly, down to our pelvis, feeling our hips waking up, and down the back of our glutes and our thighs, our hamstrings, down the upper leg to the knees, waking up the knees again. And flowing our energy back down our lower legs, our calves, our shins, into our ankles, into our feet and our toes. And let's wake up our arms as we feel our upper arms feeling a bit more sensation down to our elbows, our forearms, our wrists, our hands, and down to our fingers. Let's take a moment to gently wiggle our toes and our fingers. And gather one more deep cleansing breath in. Hold at the top. See if there's anything else you'd like to invite into your system at the top of the breath. Fill yourself up. And a slow stream out. Let's take a moment and thank our fear. Thank our fear for being our friend. And when you're ready, gently fluttering the eyes open, we can come back into our body, into our power, into our clarity and our knowing that we always have a choice to ask questions of ourselves. And with that, I say thank you to all of you beautiful souls. Go in peace and calm strength today. And I wish you a very balanced rest of your day.